Hey everybody, Chemo Sabi here, giving you a little update. Nice choppy sideways, been going on for quite a while. Kind of much to do about nothing, where you want to maintain your capital and wait for your setup, and I didn't have too much to update until now. This is a good view on the weekly here because the price did close a higher high. So now we have a higher high after putting in a low. So now you have a higher high, so we can expect a higher low to come in. Now this price, I think, extends up a little further before coming in for the higher low, and I'll show that more so on the daily slash 4 hour as to what I'm seeing. But for now, this looks really good, and eventually I think you do get a buy setup somewhere around the 117 to 118 area, maybe as low as the 115 for this order block right here. You can see where the order block is right there, where the price has engulfed the previous candle. Often price comes back down to test that, but I think maybe we push up a little further before coming back down there, maybe in early November if the patterns match. Depending on how high up this goes, um, we'll show you how much higher the higher high is. Let me draw it out to show you what I'm talking about here. So like I said, now we have a high, we have a low, now we have a higher high. So if you do see price come down here, it's still technically a higher low, um, as long as this area is not violated. I'd actually prefer it to stay above 117, 118, above this consolidation area. That would be more bullish. Like I was saying in previous videos, staying in the bullish area of the box, you'll break out to highs. This is what happens constantly. The price will show strength and stay in the strong portion of the range and break out. So price being higher highs, higher lows, that's what we're looking for the trade setups. Now, how high does this go? I don't know, but I suspect maybe 133, 136. So that would give you a higher high, potentially that high coming in the next week or two. And then you look for your higher low, which should be a back test of this range. So that's what I would be looking for at the moment. If you're not in a trade or don't know where to enter, um, wait for that to come for the next daily cycle low or half cycle low to backtest the top of the range. That's where you would look for a buy on the weekly. Let's zoom into the daily chart here. We also have a higher high, so your higher low would come in right around here. If price does pull back, that would be your buy entry if you get that opportunity. But like I was saying, I suspect we go higher, um, just to match the patterns that I'm kind of looking at now. This was a lower probability, but it ended up playing out. I wasn't too interested in it, but so far so good. And then this leg here matches this leg. And now I think we're repeating this right here. If that is the case, then we may be, chopping up and down for a while if this pattern right here is playing out right there up to potentially 133 to 135 before repeating the pullback. And that might come later on this year where price will do some kind of ABC back to back test the previous high before repeating the very impulsive leg up. So we'll just take a trend based fib extension of this leg right here, and we'll project from the potential matching leg that I'm expecting has a 1-to-1 target of 135, 600. So that would be fairly fitting to make it up to 135, 136 area. I would think that would be very interesting, seeing as we made a 112 right here, then made a 124 roughly. So if we're adding 12 to each peak, that would be your next peak. Just add 12 and add 12 again here before coming back down and maybe then going higher to repeat this impulsive leg. Target for that is around 180,000. So if this does play out, ABC up into this pullback, backtest the range. I'm expecting it to go potentially to backtest that previous high right there. So maybe it comes back down and grabs that liquidity around 118, 117.7, and then pushes up for that final leg. So if that does happen, I would project the impulsive leg. Oh, sorry about that. To measure there to there. 1-to-1 fib extension would be 176 area before potentially consolidating more. So let's say this plays out like that. Then you have this ABC pullback that repeats over here. Then this impulsive leg can go up in however many waves it wants to make it up to target. And then we'll see, maybe we get a repeat of this leg. That would bring it all the way back down to the same area again, taking liquidity and back testing this range again before potentially another move up above 200,000. That would be some kind of weird 2026 leg extended cycle, if you want to call it. Doesn't really matter. That's just the pattern that I would say has a probability of playing out. So there's profit taking to be had, patterns that match. So at the 1-to-1 extension, I would look to trim and see if this leg comes down. Then you have an invalidation as soon as it makes it under, probably under 120,000. Then you're looking at potential bear market and reaccumulation somewhere lower for the cycle low, 4-year cycle low sometime next year. So that would be an invalidation if that pattern does end up playing out. So for now, that's what I'm kind of looking for, is this pattern to repeat like that, and then maybe look for another buy setup down here. All right, now we'll bring it down to the 4-hour, and you can see how this leg is looking very similar to this leg. It's basically just a straight up move, has the same angle to it. So I'm liking the way that those are matching for now. You did grab all-time high, so that liquidity is gone. This liquidity is taken. So any trading above that should suggest that the market wants to go higher. I'm kind of expecting this pattern to play out here. So maybe up, down, up for a little ABC or something like that before pushing all-time high again and then holding above the range before a push up to like 136. So we'll see if that trade plays out, and then expect it to come back down, bounce, and then down again to backtest basically the range, and maybe scare the crap out of everybody again if it works. So that would be the pattern that I'm looking for now. I don't see any sell setups just yet. You can have the idea that you barely broke the liquidity and there's no continuation yet, but you don't have any lower low closes yet. So you have higher high, higher low. We'll see if this gets another higher high close. Maybe it just swipes liquidity but maintains the higher high, higher low here. That would be a really good buy setup to say, hey, we're probably going higher. Does this continue to break out and just go vertical from here? It's possible. I have my methods that I look at and kind of expectations where profit taking area would be the 1-to-1 Fibonacci extension of basically any leg. So I'd be looking for the 135 and see how price reacts there. But I wouldn't be surprised if it came back down and back tested that. If price consolidates up there and breaks out again, then yeah, it's going to go. But watch for a pullback after that region and maybe back test the previous all-time high at 124, or maybe getting a little deeper. So we'll see. If it matches the pattern, you would know what to look for. If you see an ABC pattern from there, some kind of ABC down, then you would say, hey, that's probably a buy setup, and look for an impulsive move back up to all-time high. Then you know it's just going to keep going. And what if I'm wrong? Well, if I'm wrong, then it would be trading in the lower portion of the range. This is where I had my range drawn before, and price dipped down below, back tested that low, and showed it as support. So that's your higher low. I prefer to get a higher high first, then a higher low, but it gave you a higher low and a higher high. So now the trend is up on the daily, weekly, and the 4 hour. Those are all in alignment to move up. So continue pushing up until it doesn't push up anymore. Um, I guess there's an Elliott wave count here that you could have 5 waves that are done. This would be 1, 2, 3. This looks like a wave 4, and this works out as a wave 5 pretty nicely. Wave 5 could do there, but I don't really have 5 waves in that. You have 1, 2, 3. This would be your wave 4. That little peak would be your wave 5. And then you could be having some kind of ABC pullback where we're currently doing a B wave that barely took liquidity up there, and then you get a flush down. Should be pretty sharp. The C leg is usually pretty sharp, so could be something to look for. If price wants to come back to wave 4 of lesser degree, that might be an area. I would prefer price to not do that, because then you're closing a lower low, then you're at risk of a lower high, and then a downtrend could start there, and this would end up being a distribution, and you're likely to push lower, maybe as low as maybe 85,000. But we'll see. It could be a good opportunity down there if that does happen, if you start an uptrend out of there. But for now, I don't like this yet. I would need to see some kind of rejection and a downtrend start from here. And especially if price is closing and trading in this lower section anywhere below 116,000, closing down there and kind of bouncing back in this lower portion of the range, that would be a bad look, and I'd expect the lows to be taken. Then maybe it can resume upwards, but again, you'd be trading a lower low, and a potential lower high would follow after. So, and not that I'm a huge fan of trading Elliott Wave. I've traded it before. I don't see as much value in it for trading Bitcoin. And a prime example is this leg down, that this is very nicely 5 waves, even measures really nicely. Let's take a trend-based fib extension, measure wave 1, wave 2. That's like a perfect Elliott wave, 5-wave structure. 1, 2, wave 3, expanded flat for wave 4, didn't come into the territory of wave 1. Wave 3 hit the 1.618, and the wave 5 hits 2.618. That is a perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks good, measures perfectly. So yeah, that should not have, if that Elliott wave pattern was an impulse down, this should not have broken the high. I guess the only way to interpret that in Elliott wave, which maybe some other people that do Elliott wave, this might make sense of it, is to say your ABC is there, and then you had a 3, 3, and a 5. Yeah, is that a wave 2? This being 5 waves up, there's your wave 2. Looks all funky. I'd say, yeah, potentially. You could consider that a potential wave 2, especially if you're about to do this maneuver. Like if you're about to repeat that leg up, it sure would look like a wave 2. But I kind of see it as a consolidation / B wave, and you're about to do ABC up to 176. Like I said, I understand Elliott wave. Traded it for years. I just don't use it anymore because I like my matching legs method and following trend. It's what kept me in the game for as long as I've been there. It's not quite so subjective to just deal with trend and what is trend doing, what is price action telling me. So that's what I trade. But maybe that helps make sense of it for you and what to look for. So seeing as liquidity was taken at all-time highs, any trade above there is suggesting, price wants to move up further, and it'll keep moving up until the trend reverses. Once the trend reverses, then your 4 hour would become a downtrend, and then you'd be looking for your daily higher low and or weekly higher low, wherever that may be. So hopefully we'll have an update on that when that time comes. It might be a few weeks to find that, so I'll find other things to talk about, I guess, and I'll try to release some more videos in the coming days, and I'll try to keep up with it. So hope that helps. Keep them stops tight so you can have a good night.